Thanks, Chandler. Well, today, millions of Americans will honor the bravery and sacrifice of those who lost their lives on this day 23 years ago. It's a day of thankfulness, but also a day of grief for so many families who are impacted by this tragedy. The 9/11 Morning of Remembrance ceremony is an event right here in the heart of the capital city where first responders and military service members across the country are highlighted.
Yeah, Jordan Markhoff joining us live this morning outside the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center. And Jordan, it's an emotional day for so many. How are these first responders being honored?
Good morning to you, Jamal and Intisar. We are live right now at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center, where this ceremony is set to start at 8 a.m. There is so much history, too, with 9/11, and so many people really just coming out to pay their respects to those who lost their lives that day. Joining us now is Mike Sonefeld. He's the vice chairman for the 9/11 Remembrance Foundation in South Carolina. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here with us today. Tell us a little bit about what it means to hold such a position and to bring people together in the community on a day that is so important for Americans.
It's extremely important. Obviously, the date is one that we promised never to forget, and we thought this would be the best way to do that, to have a memorial in granite with the story of what happened for the generations that are now coming up behind us. We also have an influx of people from the New York area or have relatives that were affected by 9/11, and this is kind of a way for them to get together, and as the day goes on, you'll start seeing those people gravitate towards the memorial. It's a really moving experience.
Talk about the importance of this memorial we have behind us. I know both of those beams there were part of the World Trade Center, and there's so much that went into bringing this here to Columbia. Talk about what this means for the community.
It's amazing. We spent years, Dan Hennigan and I, trying to get the beams here. Drove to New York once they were approved, and one of the greatest things that ever happened was to tour the warehouses full of artifacts from that day. And so these were purely almost in a museum state, tagged and brought out, exactly where they came from in the buildings. So it is a piece of the World Trade Center that's right here in Columbia, and it means a lot for people, again, that have lost people, to be able to touch them, be up there with it. It gives some closure.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us here this morning. Again, this ceremony will be starting at 8 a.m. It's the 14th annual Morning of Remembrance ceremony. So we're going to continue to stay here and bring you all of the latest updates from this here in Columbia. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.